49ers update here from the field at Levi Stadium, where they are power cleaning the seats, the paint, part of the paint's on the field, getting ready for 49ers Bengals on Sunday. Brock Purdy back out at practice. It is Friday, so it's the final practice for the 49ers. He is on pace to be cleared from concussion protocol by tomorrow. However, because Purdy is still technically in concussion protocol, he's not allowed to speak to the media, so Sam Darnold will be speaking to the media in a little bit less than an hour. The only other 49er in question right now is Trent Williams, who was not at the beginning of practice, but I did spot Trent in the weight room wearing his jersey. Yesterday, I spotted Trent on the side of the field with a trainer not wearing his jersey. Today he was wearing his jersey, which means he could join practice at a later portion. And the fact that his jersey's on, even if he doesn't join practice, means that he is making some progress from his low ankle sprain. Remember, Kyle Shanahan hoped that Williams would rejoin practice by Thursday. He did not, but he obviously, as a superstar, is one of those players who does not necessarily have to practice to play for the 49ers on Sunday. Williams is in a big spot. That left tackle position is significant against the Bengals because their best defensive player is Trey Hendrickson with 7 sacks already this season. And Trey Hendrickson, unlike Danielle Hunter, who lined up against right tackle for Minnesota, Trey Hendrickson lines up exclusively against left tackle for Cincinnati. So that's Jalen Moore's spot if Trent Williams can't play. I guarantee you the 49ers, if Brock Purdy's coming off a concussion, if it's Sam Darnold replacing Brock Purdy, makes that left tackle spot against Trey Hendrickson all the more important. Not only in pass protection, but also in run blocking. There's one thing about Trey Hendrickson, this is a good piece of Bengals intel for you. He rushes the passer with reckless abandon. This is a guy who, he's not thinking about the run all too much when he's firing off the ball. So he's a little bit vulnerable to runs. The Bengals have given up significant yardage when teams have run left against them. And a lot of that's because Trey Hendrickson is not the most versatile defender. He's a really good pass rusher, but I think he's a little over-aggressive when it comes to that pass rush. That allows somebody like Trent Williams or Jalen Moore, whoever's there, but it allows the left tackle to not only neutralize that edge rusher, but also pick off a linebacker or another second-level defender in space. The Bengals are number 27 against the run in terms of run defense EPA. So that's, I mean, this game, I think, running to the left side is going to be something that's significant for the 49ers. And you'd rather have Trent Williams in there to capitalize on that than anybody else because he's a freak. He's one of the special left tackles in the history of this game. Now, one thing I do have to emphasize is that when you're running, it's not just like, okay, we're going to run the ball against this team, signed, sealed, and delivered. A lot of fans seem to think that. That's a very casual thought. It's not, oh, run the ball more, run the ball more. That will solve all the problems. You run or you pass. You decide between the two depending on what the defense is playing. So if there are 2 high safeties, you're more likely to run. If one safety creeps up into the box, you're more likely to pass. For example, last week, Minnesota blitzed more than any other team in the NFL. So they brought a lot of run blitzes. They brought safeties close to the line of scrimmage. If they're attacking the run, then you're going to pass. And that's why Brock Purdy passed more than he ran. So it wasn't as simple as, oh, they need to run more. They're not doing a good job establishing the run. They had the opportunity to pass more because Minnesota was so aggressive at the line of scrimmage. And Brock Purdy had himself a nice game against the Minnesota Vikings. Cincinnati doesn't blitz nearly as much. Because they don't blitz nearly as much, they're back more in coverage, a little bit softer near the line of scrimmage. It's more likely, but not certain, but it's more likely that the 49ers will have the numbers necessary to be able to attack in the run game. And if that does happen, well, then you can exploit the fact, especially if you keep Cincinnati off balance, that Trey Hendrickson might pin his ears back a little bit too much coming off that edge rusher spot, and you might be able to run right by him. On the flip side, we know that the 49ers have to stop the Bengals run game. They also have to stop the Cincinnati Bengals screen game. Joe Burrow, I mean, he came out of the gates this season with a bad calf, a calf strain, right? He suffered that during training camp. He wasn't pushing the ball downfield because of that. They were just running a ton of wide receiver screens to Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd. They were running trips formations to try to open up Jamar Chase through confusion. A lot of short passes, and it led to Cincinnati having the highest screen pass success rate in the National Football League so far this year. So the 49ers, defensively on their side of the ball, they're going to have to stop the screens. They're going to have to stop the run game, which they haven't done a great job doing yet so far this season, especially in the first half against Minnesota. It was an issue. It was an issue throughout the whole game against Cleveland. That is what is going to allow the 49ers to have a pathway to win defensively in one of two ways. A is through sacks, because if you stop the run, you get into down and distance to be able to pin your ears back and get after Joe Burrow, and the screen game is an extension of the run game, so you have to stop that too. And B, it's in case Burrow gets rid of the ball too quickly, because Burrow gets rid of the ball in 2.4 on average, which is the third fastest release time in the NFL. In case he's still getting rid of the ball too quickly, you can force him to throw into the kill zone. So either A, get the sack, or B, force throws into the kill zone, which is the first 5 yards past the line of scrimmage. First 5 yards past the line of scrimmage, if it's in front of you and Dre Greenlaw, Fred Warner, Talanoa Hufanga can all come down and hunt and tackle, you're in business if you're the 49ers. Also leads to another key. They got to tackle better. 9 missed tackles over weeks 3, 4, and 5 combined for the 49ers. 19 missed tackles over weeks 6 and 7. If you're playing kill zone football, right, if the opposing offenses are running a bunch of quick release against you, if they're running the football against you a lot, you better be able to tackle, right? Tackling is imperative for kill zone football and for run defense, which allows you to play kill zone football to work. So the 49ers have missed so many tackles here over the course of the past 2 weeks that it's severely compromised their ability and formula to deliver in the kill zone and against the run. So they've got to tackle better. That's where all this execution talk comes from, right? We hear Fred Warner saying, we just have to execute better. That's the key. It is the key. Nobody's saying that Steve Wilkes made the best play calls. Nobody's saying that Steve Wilkes had the best coverage alignments for the 49ers. But at the end of the day, the execution has taken a glaring drop-off over the course of the past 2 weeks, and they're going to try to fix it on this field back here. My analogy for this game is the 49ers are in a boxing match. The first intermission, the end of the round, is coming up. The end of the round is the bye week. They started this round off with a flurry, 5-0. They're landing punches left and right. But their opponent started landing some punches later in the round. The opponent was the last 2 weeks and the losses for the 49ers. So the 49ers are staggering a bit. They need to get into the break in between rounds. They need to reach the bell at the end of the round. They need to regroup. But they also want to land one more punch before they regroup. So flurry for the 49ers, a couple punches landed by their opponents, and now the 49ers trying to land one more punch on this field at Levi Stadium before they head into the break and formally regroup for the second half of the season. We'll have another update for you very soon.